I don't know if it's me, maybe it really is, but this interview that Reince Priebus had with John Wilkerson, Reince seemed to be a little bit off of his game. Here's the interview.
Now from the Republican National Committee headquarters here in Washington is the incoming White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus. You're still chairman of the party, so Mr. Chairman, what exactly does incoming President-elect Donald Trump believe about Russian efforts to meddle in the election?
Well, I think he believes many of the things that we all believe, which is, Russia and other countries have been hacking and attempting to attack American institutions for years, that Russia's attack on American elections has been going back for over 50 years, so this is nothing new. And the fact that this particular hack was perpetrated by Russian entities is something that no one is disputing. But I think one of the issues here...
Okay. Lie number one. Donald Trump is obviously one, if not the only person disputing the fact that the Russians hacked into the American election system. Okay, he went so far as saying it could have been some 400-pound guy living in his mother's basement. And even after the intelligence agencies came out with their letter stating it was the Russians, he still was fighting tooth and nail, claiming that there was no actual proof that it was the Russians. And now, after he's been briefed with the information, both public and private information, he still won't come out and admit what went down. So Reince, nah, you're going to start looking a little peaked there in a minute.
John, and one of the issues that isn't really being covered is that we have one of the two biggest political parties in the world, the DNC, that sat there like a sitting duck, allowed these entities into their computer systems. By their own admission, they said that they lacked the training and that they didn't respond to the FBI when they called.
That is all true, by the way. What he failed to mention was that the intelligence agencies also stated that the RNC got hacked as well. It was just that their information wasn't publicly released out to WikiLeaks.
But he'll be president of the United States, not the head of the DNC. So on this question of, you say no one was disputing this, but let me just, over the last couple of months, Donald Trump has resolutely disputed the findings of the intelligence agencies, and he's gone beyond that. He's not just been skeptical. He has compared the findings on this question of Russian hacking to the biggest blunder the intelligence agencies have made on Iraq. He said it was politically motivated. He said it was a part of a witch hunt. He has been solid in disputing it. So it seems like you're saying he's changed his mind.
No, I think you're just conflating two different things. I mean, on one hand, you have the fact that Russia, China, other countries cyber attack the United States all the time. But on the other hand, you also have a President Obama who 2 weeks before he leaves office, after he knew about these things had been going on since 2015, decides to then put out the biggest sanctions that we've ever put out on Russia in this regard in the history of America. When the Chinese hacked the OPM, we didn't hear anything that happened after that.
Exactly. You didn't hear anything. Well, I take that back. After the Russians hacked the OPM, Obama went to them and they signed an agreement for them to stop hacking all, our commercial properties, etc. A treaty was signed. We also don't know what happened behind the scenes as far as what did we do to the Chinese. So he can't say jack shit because he doesn't know. So he's just throwing that out there. But anyway, let me continue.
There's a political angle here. Wait a second. There's a political angle here, John, that is clearly politically motivated to discredit the victory of President-elect Trump. I think that is absolutely indisputable.
It absolutely is in dispute. Everybody and their brothers said that Trump was elected. He's going to be the president. everybody and their brother is pointing at the Russians for what they did to our system and what price they are going to need to pay because of the actions they took. It's only the Trump people who are trying to conflate things by equating the Russians hacking into the DNC and attempting to have an effect on our election process with the election of Donald Trump. They're tying the two things together. Most people are trying to keep them separate.
The reason why the DNC piece matters is that the reason this particular hack was so large wasn't necessarily because the effort was so great by the Russians. It was that it was so easy. I mean, John Podesta's password into his system, you know what his password was? Password. The fact that you had Donna Brazil admitting that the DNC lacked the training, which allowed all of this material to be released, is incredible.
Let me go back to Donald Trump, who will be leader of the free world and will have to work with the intelligence agencies. Director Clapper said that there is a difference between skepticism and disparagement. So he has categorized the remarks that Donald Trump has made as disparaging of those intelligence agencies. So when Donald Trump met with the intelligence briefers on Friday, did he apologize for that disparagement?
The first thing that Donald Trump did after that meeting in his statement was to commend the men and women of the intelligence community. It was the very first thing he did. It was the very first thing in his statement. But let me just go back for a second, John. When President Obama put out the sanctions against Russia a week ago, our first reaction was, we need to get a briefing on this issue, what created this immediate reaction of President Obama. And we went into action to get the briefing as quickly as possible on Tuesday that we thought the president had, that created the reaction that took place a few days earlier. So when President-elect Trump moved forward through the weekend and on Tuesday, and we attempted to get that briefing, we since learned that the actual report wouldn't be done until Wednesday. Hang on.
Okay, so now that's a bunch of bullshit. So in other words, if we get attacked and or we're getting ready to get attacked, and our intelligence people tell us, hey, guess what? We're getting ready to get attacked. We're supposed to wait for them to put together the paperwork outlining exactly how the attack is going to occur. That's fucking bullshit. President Obama had all the information he needed in order to make his judgment, and he wasn't going to wait around for the paperwork to be done in order to take the actions that he took. But apparently when President-elect Trump comes into office, he believes, according to Mr. Priebus, that all the reports should be in black and white before a president takes any action. Fuck you.
I'm getting to your point. So it turned out that the report wasn't completed until Wednesday, and we weren't going to get the briefing until Friday. That tweet that you're referring to, and Mr. Clapper responded to, the intelligence briefing in quotes, was a frustrating situation in that we couldn't even get a briefing on what caused the reaction of Obama because the report wasn't done until Wednesday. It's not disparagement. It's a matter of, hey, can I get the information here?
Mr. Chairman, it's disparagement when you compare the findings of the intelligence agencies to their worst blunder in modern history. When you compare it to the findings on
hang on, John. There was no. You're wrong. There was no.
Mr. Chairman, did you not compare them to the Iraq War? Did the Trump transition compare them to the Iraq War blunder?
I didn't compare them to the transition.
See, that's all. I didn't do it, but the Trump campaign did. See, and now you're playing pussy and you're getting ready to get fucked.
Iraq War blunder, but we're not talking about that, John. We're talking about
Mr. Chairman,
what created.
But you did do that. The transition did do that.
No, I mean, you can say that all day long. What we're talking about
it's the truth,
is the fact that President Obama put out sanctions on the Thursday or the Wednesday, whatever that date was.
Let me ask you about another issue.
We attempted to get the briefing that on that particular issue on that Tuesday, and we found out that the report wasn't even completed until Wednesday. So the intelligence briefing, in quotes, was in response to that situation.
Let me move on to Obamacare, which is coming up. Donald Trump would like to see repeal and replace happen at the same time. Is that right?
You know, look, I'm not going to get into exactly where this is going to go, but I will tell you that it would be ideal if we could do it all in one big action. But look.
Backtrack. Trump has campaigned actively on repeal and replace. That's what he campaigned on. So now you're saying you don't want to get into it? You don't want to get into a topic that he campaigned on? Oh, really? You're having a rough day, Mr. Priebus.
It may take time to get all the elements of the replace in place. Might have to use reconciliation for part of it, which is a 50-vote majority. There are other parts of the replacement, such as allowing people and companies to cross state lines, allowing for open pricing, allowing for healthcare pooling, that may take 60 votes. So the full replacement may take more time than an instantaneous
So it sounds like he would
action, but our intent is to make it happen as quickly as possible. The repeal and the full replace as fast as we can.
Senator Rand Paul said something that sounded like Donald Trump would not support what you just said, which is more like a repeal and delay. So it sounds like there's some wiggle room there now from the president-elect in terms of the pacing of this.
I don't think so at all. I mean, if you can get 60 votes, you know, within a few weeks and get all of those elements of Rand Paul's bill into place, that would be great. But I think we all understand that things sometimes do take some time, and the full repeal and replace may take a little bit more time, but it's going to happen as quickly as possible.
Hell, you can't even get 52 votes on one individual idea, so when you're talking about getting 60, you're full of shit.
Question on replace. Donald Trump has campaigned on the idea of not touching Medicare. That'll be his position still?
Now that's going to be a good one, because Obamacare has expanded Medicare to various constituencies throughout the states, including Indiana. So if you're not going to touch Medicare or Medicaid, are you going to leave the expanded Medicare provisions in place? Because if you do, that is definitely a major part of Obamacare.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think President-elect Trump wants to meddle with Medicare or Social Security. He made a promise in the campaign that that was something that he didn't want to do. But what he wants to do is grow the economy, help shore up Medicare and Social Security for future generations. And if we can get 3 to 5, 6% growth, we'll do that, and we'll explode the economy and bring jobs back and make trade more fair across the world.
That is such fucking bullshit. We will see 3% growth. We might see 4%, 4.5% growth. We will not see 5% growth, and 6% growth is a fucking fairy tale that you can tell your little grandbabies, because nobody believes that one.
Lower rates for everyone, and I think hopefully get businesses going again so people can put more money in their pocket.
All right. Chairman Reince Priebus, incoming White House Chief of Staff, thanks so much, and we'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, he had a rough one there. This was not one of his better press conferences.